Okay, I just took the feeder off the top of the hive, and there's a massive cluster of bees underneath that feeder. And you can see here too that they're building comb above the top frames, so they have, I would say, plenty of honey on the go. Right now, though, there's a lot of bees clustered under this thing, so I got to get them back in the hive somehow. And I think I have an idea. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so I took the feeder, and well, let's just say I took I put an inner cover on above this rim, and I left all that burr comb and honeycomb that's broken off down there for now. I'm gonna clean it up later. Right now, just get things done. So I got the inner cover right there, so they can come and go through this inner cover. Then I've got this empty honey super, just complete big blank space, and then I've got the feeder on top. And the reason I have this honey super on, or this medium deep on, is because there's this huge cluster of bees hanging off the bottom, so I just needed something to make space for the bees. So that's all it is. The bees are up there. They're still going at that syrup up there, obviously, and that syrup is going to run out soon, and hopefully tonight they will leave that syrup and go down into the hive. Go down, crawl down here, come down, go through the inner cover, and go into the hive. And if they do that, and if they leave the feeder, then I'll take the feeder off later tonight when it's cold. And boy, is there a big gap in this medium right here. Look at that. It's a huge gap. It's a flaw on that one. Anyway, yeah, so that's the situation. And I had no idea that they were that packed with honey up on top. I knew this top deep was full, but I thought they would take the honey syrup, the sugar syrup, and take it down into the hive. And perhaps they have, and maybe now they're just starting to build comb on top of the top bars. I don't know. But I think this hive is in good shape. So as long as I get this off, my plan now is to get this feeder off, and then put on a moisture quilt, give them some really good ventilation, so that if there's any uncapped sugar syrup or honey in the hive, they'll be able to ventilate it well and cure it well, and either cap it or cure it so it doesn't go moldy over the winter time. And after that, I think I'm done. I may do something, I may wrap them, but I don't think I will. I think I'm just going to leave them. I think they've got tons and tons of honey. And then we got chickens over there doing chicken stuff. What I should have done is put an escape board here instead of an inner cover. That way they'll go down, and if they go into the hive, they stay down in the hive. But the way this is now, I don't think they're going. I mean, logically they usually stay in the hive. But now that they've got all this space up here and they got food up here, they could actually start building comb up in all that empty space. So this could backfire. Yeah. Sometimes the brain doesn't think things through before it decides to do stuff. So I took the feeder off this morning because it's cold, and on top there it's an empty honey super. Actually, it's not an empty honey super, but there's a honey super and a moisture quilt on top of that inner cover I had, and the bees were well below the inner cover, so that worked out well. So no problem. They didn't start building comb up there. Right now I've got in that honey super are some leftover frames that had a bit of honey in them from earlier this year that weren't capped. So I just got that up there, and I'm going to let them eat that as their last meal of the year, I guess. So here's the the feeder, I filled it up with some hay because there's still some syrup in there, and so when the bees come in, they're just gonna get in there and not drown. But anyway, this is what I found underneath it. Comb. So they've been building that. That's a lot of there's a lot of resources to build that much comb. You can still see a few bees in there. Hopefully they're not going to sting me in the face. And yeah, look at all that. So that's interesting. So they definitely had enough food in the hive, and they were filling in the space. That comb is about the thickness of the rims that I have in there, and that's really cool. Now this is all. I'm pretty sure that's all syrup, comb and syrup. So I can't eat it, but anyway, it's pretty interesting. So I'm gonna leave that there today, and I left it out. Yeah, so I'll leave that out today. I don't think there's any wasps or anything, so they're gonna go underneath here and through there and get at that honey underneath and that syrup. I'll let them clean that out. All right, what we have here is a bucket of crystallized honey, solid as a rock, and I think it's about 20 or 30 pounds. I can't tell. It's a heavy bucket though, and I've got this this heating band on the bottom of it to liquefy the honey. It takes about 6 hours apparently, and it's tied, so you can see it's tied tightly around the bucket. It's making pretty good contact. Oh, it's warming up already. I just plugged it in. And I got this honey from a beekeeper who was taking care of my bees for the past year. And he did me a big favor by taking care of my bees. The colonies, I gave him 7 colonies, and they weren't in the greatest shape, and he requeened the ones that needed requeening, and he built them up, and they're in great shape, so he did me a huge favor. And I said he could keep all the honey, but he gave me this bucket anyway, and I'm very happy about that, more than happy about it. And I've never had crystallized honey like this before, and I'm glad he gave me this heating belt, because I'm not sure what I would do with a big bucket of crystallized honey like this, but it's I think it's a mix of fireweed and goldenrod, and it's probably the goldenrod that's making it crystallize like this, because goldenrod is full of glucose. It's the nectar is high in glucose, so you're going to get a crystal. The higher the glucose, over the fructose, the more likely you're going to get crystallization like this. Anyhow, it smells great. It looks cool. It's really heavy, and I've got this. And I just plugged in this heating belt, so we're going to see how that goes. It apparently takes about 6 hours, so this could take all day, but that's cool. I got nothing else to do. I'm just going to be hanging around the house, watching my honey melt. So let's see what happens. Alright, this is a poorly lit shot of the honey. And here we go. Alright, well this, the heating band or belt worked, and now I'm filling up my honey jars. But I got somewhere between, I think, 20 and, no, somewhere between 30 and 40 pounds of honey out of this. I reheated the honey, or liquefied the honey yesterday, and bottled most of it. So this is still from yesterday, and it stayed liquid. So that's good. All right, I'm going to take the little bit of honey that's left over in this bucket, and I'm going to try to just dump it up on top of that hive. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to just see what happens. All right, I think I'll just put a deep on top of that and call it done. So it's November 13th, and I still see a lot of drones stuck in this hive, coming and going, crowding the top entrance. I don't know. I've never seen this drone so late in the season, like this many drones, so I'm kind of wondering what's going on. Also noticed that there's a lot of flies hanging around the bottom of the hive, down the bottom entrance, and flies are usually going for things that are dead. So I'm wondering if there's a lot of dead bees stuck between the bottom deep and the middle deep, and they're just starting to rot. I don't know. Alright, this is the some of the drawn comb that had some honey still in the comb, some uncapped honey, I guess. I had some of that on the go, and I had some burr comb that was full of honey. I had all of this on top of the hive, underneath or on top of the inner cover. And I had that there for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the bees have been pretty much consuming all the honey, but they've also been sort of clustering above the inner cover and hanging out on these frames. And I want to get the hive ready for winter by just putting some insulation on top, or maybe a moisture quilt. So I've just carefully removed everything, all the little bits of burr comb and that frame of honey. That's pretty much an empty frame. And they're still like going over it, picking out the little bits of honey that are left over, cleaning it up. If you look at the bits of burr comb that are left up over here, you can't see it. I had another piece that would have been a good demonstration, but all these are empty. It's just dried up comb now, even though they're still going over it like there's something to be found inside those cells. And yeah, so these guys too are just sort of hanging out, and eventually they'll realize that they're not inside the hive anymore, and they'll come up over and find their way back into the hive. But they're not really in that mode yet. I don't think they realize that they're outside yet. But I'm just going to leave that there for a while and let them sort it out. If I took a piece of that comb with the bees on it and shook it by the hive entrance, I'd get them scenting, and the scenting would get them coming in quicker probably. But I don't have any gear on today, and I don't want to bother with that. So just going to leave it to them and see how they do. So this is what happens when I neglect to inspect my hive. First of all, I got a hunk of bees down there, and they're building comb down there again. Look at the size of that cluster. All right, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I flipped it up. I took the inner cover and I flipped it upside down, and hopefully all the bees are going to go back into the hive, and hopefully the queen isn't in there. And now I'm going to scrape out all that comb, and I'm going to put an inner cover on top of that so I don't have to deal with comb in the middle of the winter. Okay, so I scraped off all the comb, and there it is right there. I've got this tipped upside down, and the bees are going back into the hive, so they're scenting their way back home, so that's good. These bees are working this comb like they're still inside the hive, but they'll eventually figure out that they're outside and not inside, and they'll go inside. And so for now, I've got this other inner cover on, and I just noticed this other inner cover has a big crack. It's not fitting snugly on top of the other hive, on top of the box, so I might go get another one. Good, I love that. Now I get to open it again. Good. I gotta say though that the bees are extremely docile. They're not defensive at all. I had a couple of them sort of butt me in the veil, but hardly anything major, nothing major. They didn't sting my fingers through the gloves or anything. They're doing pretty good. I'm not going to mess with them any further. Oh, there's a bit of a cluster going on down there. What's that? Is there a queen down there? Should I scoop them up with my hands and get stung in the hand? Let's find out. I'm just checking to see if the queen is there. No, I don't think so. Oh, these bees are friendly. They're not stingy at all. Whoops, here we go. When they're defensive, they stick their butts in the air, and you can even see, let me see. No, you can see the stinger poking out at the end of their butt. It's sort of like, okay, we're going to stick my stinger out, and if somebody bumps into my stinger, I got you, without even trying to have a type of posture. But they're not doing that at all. They're totally cool. Nice bees. I have that gloves on, but I don't need my gloves. Oops, there we go. Anyway, I'll just flick them back. Alright, here we are a few hours later, and the bees have cleared out. So they're all coming back up here, crowding that top entrance, ignoring the bottom entrance again. So I'm going to put some screen back on there and call it done. Alright, it's November 29th. It's below zero, below freezing. Anyway, still lots of drones buzzing around. I'm not sure what to think of that. There's a few dead on the bottom, but there's still quite a few buzzing around, and I don't know. I've never seen that before. Usually by this time of year the drones have been kicked out, and I don't know why they're not getting kicked out. Maybe there's just too many of them, but yeah, there's a lot of drones. Look, most of those bees are drones. I should really get the infrared camera out and see if there's any kind of mouse or something living in the bottom, because I don't know what's going on. Anyhow, today I put on the moisture quilt. I don't have any wood chips, so I just put in some straw that we use in the chicken coop, and it's just sitting above the inner cover right now, so it's not doing the full job that it would normally do. But I'm going to wait until the bees are clustered down below before I remove the inner cover, because usually I'll just have the moisture quilt and a rim underneath it so I can put sugar in. I noticed that the bees have been thirsty over the past few days, maybe the past week, and I don't know why.